Hey everyone. So now we're going to start by actually sending over custom objects that you create instead of just sending strings. So this is more helpful when you want to send a lot of information over to the server, the client, that might be sensitive and you might want to get to the other side. So it's very simple to do. Now before we start, we're going to kind of remove some things. If you go to the server listener, we're just going to remove thanks for using, sending that object there that says thanks for connecting. Then we're going to leave the client connected and disconnected. And we're also going to remove the system.out.println in the received. Now on the client side, we can do the same thing. We're going to remove the sending of the object we connected, and also we're going to remove the system.out.println. Now before we start, there's some things that are important when you need to send a object over a stream. So one of the things that has to be, the first thing is that it has to be serializable. So it means that it needs to be broken down, needs to be able to be broken down into a byte array so that it can be sent over the stream. Now this is very simple to do, kind of sounds scary. All you have to do is you just have to implement a interface called serializable onto your object or your class. Which is very simple. We'll do that in a second. The second thing that is important is that the object needs to be in the same package on both sides of the server and the client. So say that you have on the client side you have your object in the package client.packets, and on the server side you have that same packet on the package or in the package server.packets. So I'm just going to give you an example. Say we have a client.packets, we have the object in there for the client, and we have the server.packets in there. Now say that we're trying to send our object on the client side from this packet and receive it on the server side, but the object's in this packet. They're not the same exact packets, so it's going to throw an error and it's not going to work. So what we need to do, you can delete those, I'll just give you an example, is you just need to create a package, keep on getting those mixed up. You need to create a package that the packets will reside in on both the server and the client. So we're just going to call our package packets, and we're going to put all of our packets into that package. So it's a bad word to use. It can get very interchangeable and confusing. But if you have two projects, make sure that the packets are in the same package. That's all I'm saying. So now let's create a object. So we're going to create an object. We're just going to call it, we'll get started by calling it my object. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to implement that serializable interface. So just do that there. And it's really just going to be that. You don't have to import anything else. You don't have to add in this default serial version ID. You can just keep it like that. That's all that needs to be done. And now you can start sending this object over the stream. Now, we kind of want it to hold something. We don't want to send an empty object over a stream because it's not really useful to us. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in some information. So we'll put in a string. We'll just say string my string, and we'll set it equal to hello NitroNet. You can set it equal to whatever you want, but that's what I'm going to do. So now your object class has a string called my string inside of it. Now on the client side, what we're going to want to do is once that client connects to the server, we're just going to send that object over to the server. So in the connected method, which is perfect for it, once it's connected, we're going to do con.send TCP, and then we're going to do new my object and just create a new my object, and we're going to import that. And that's all that needs to be done. Now on the server side, we're going to want to know when this object is received. So in the receives method on the server side, what we're going to want to do is when an object is sent, we want to see what type of object was received. So it might be a string, it might be a my object instance, it can be anything. So an important thing that you want to do is you want to see what type that object is. And this is done by simply using the instance of keyword. So we're going to do if object instance of my object. So if the object that's received was an instance of the my object class, then do whatever inside of here. So if we get an my object instance received, then we're going to want to cast that object to the my object instance. So we're just going to do my object equals what's going to do my object and then object. So this will cast the object over to the my object class. So now you have an instance of the object, and what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to print out the message. We'll just do that for now. So we're going to do some system.out.println object.myString. So now whenever an object instance of the class myObject is received, we're going to print out the myString variable. So let's give it a shot. Run the server first, run the client second, and you will see client has connected, hello NitroNet. So you can see that the client connected and then immediately sent over that object right away. And you can see that's how easy it is to send over custom information from one side to another. And this is done the exact same way from the server to the client. So let's just make this a little bit more dynamic. So let's go to the myObject class, and we're going to create a constructor for it. So we're going to do public myObject, and we're going to do string. And I'm going to remove the value that we set, the default value of that myString variable. And now what we're going to do here is we're just going to do myString equals string. So now any value that you set when creating the myObject class will be set to the myString variable. So now we'll go to the client listener, and now we can type in whatever we want. Hello, how are you? And now if we don't even have to restart the server, we can just run the client, because the only thing that changed was the client. So we'll run the client, and we'll see the client is connected. And oh, actually, I'm sorry, because this is one of the things that's important. This is another important thing. I'm glad this actually came up. Just like I was saying about how the packet has to be in the same package, it also has to be the same exact code. So say you have two different projects. So we have a NitroNet client project and we have a NitroNet server project. And say you have the myObject class in each project. You need to make sure that the code inside of it is exactly the same. So on the server, we didn't restart the server like I showed you, and what we did was we changed the code on the client side. So now because the code is changed on the client side, it's not the same on the server side. So that's why we get this local class incompatible, blah, 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 pretty much saying that the server's code of the myObject class is not the same as the client's code of the myObject class. So now all we have to do is just restart both of them, but I'm glad that they came up to show you that both instances of the code have to be exactly the same. Otherwise, it'll throw an error. So let's start the server and start the client, and you'll see the client is connected, and on the client side it says hello, how are you? Now since the objects haven't changed, it hasn't changed, we can create a new client. How about we leave that other client running? Let's just start up a new client, and it'll get the same thing. So connected a new client to it. Now we have two clients connected. It said hello, how are you? How about we change up the string that was sent over? We'll say I am the third client connected because we already have two running, and we'll run this, and we'll see it connected another client and it sent over a new string. And that's how you can send over information and have multiple clients connected and easily just receive information from them. So it's very easy to do. Now we can disconnect the clients one by one, and you'll see them all disconnect from the client or from the server side, and actually just terminate the server by accident. So that's how they work. It's very, very, very simple to be done, and just start using and sending information over to the server and client side. Now say, for example, we've been sending information in the client listener for the whole time. So now say that you wanted to send it from outside of the client listener. How do we get the connection of the server outside of the listener itself? So it's actually very simple to do. Say that you wanted to send information from the server once we saw that the client was connected right here. So I'm actually just going to remove this. I'm going to cut this from here. I'm just going to cut it, and now I'm going to go to the client starter, and I'm going to put it inside of here. So we say client connected, and now we're going to do client dot get server connection. So that gets you the server connection to the server on the client side. And now we're just going to do the send TCP, and now I'm going to send in that object there. And now once it connects, it'll get the server connection and then send over the myObject class through TCP. So I'm going to run the server first and run the client second. And you will see hello has been received. So that's how you get the server connection from outside the actual server listener. If you want to get connections from outside of the server listener over here on the actual server side, not the client side. What you're going to want to do when a connection connects is you're going to want to save that connection instance somewhere on the somewhere in some type of class or in a hash table or an array list that just lets you get the clients that are connected and then send them information as they need to. So that's how you would do on the server side, but we'll get more into that as we start making applications. We'll make like a basic like chat application between different clients and stuff like that to show how we can send and receive information from different clients. So that is it on this tutorial. Now you guys know how to send custom objects from the server and client sides. So in the next tutorial, we'll start doing some more with actual examples and maybe a simple chat room with different clients. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.